Yo, what is up guys? So we're going to be checking out Wolcen Lords of Mayhem, which is an action RPG similar to like Diablo or Path of Exile or when it finally launches, Lost Ark or Lineage Eternal, aka Project TL now. So action RPGs are actually one of my favorite genres of games. In fact, I think the last one that was like really interesting to me was MXM, but that game ended up not really working out. That game actually got shut down. But anyways, this game is currently in alpha. It's a game that I got the beta access, well I guess alpha access a long time ago, and they did a change, and it's been getting a lot of hype. I think a lot of Diablo players started playing it. I know a popular Diablo YouTuber just started covering it, and it just got a lot of hype recently, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a video on it because there are a few people that did make some videos talking about the game, but they were in like the earlier stages of the game, and they didn't like get super far on, so I wanted to make a video showing you guys the end game, if you will, of the current alpha, because again, some people just didn't hit it, and they didn't really know exactly what was going on. And it doesn't take that long to max out in this game, but I'm maxed out as far as level goes, and I'll show you guys the inventory system. I'll show you guys this skill tree, but I think what's the most important thing first is to check out the skills and what the heck does the gameplay look like. So I'm going to equip a few skills over here, and then we're going to equip one or two of these, and then we're going to go ahead and just roll in. And I'll show you guys, again, what I would consider the end game content. Now, I've got all the waypoints that you can get, as far as I know right now, in the alpha of the game. And towards the end, oh, another cool thing with this is you can rotate the camera, which a lot of other action RPGs don't allow you to do, which is actually pretty helpful. I also like that it's pretty far zoomed out. But there's something interesting with the skill tree, and there's a lot of interesting things with this game, and I have a lot of hype for this game, and I'm hoping it's going to be really cool. So this is, again, towards like the end of the game. I maxed out. Level 20 is the max level that you can get in the alpha as of right now. So you guys can see over here, there are these, it'll say arena, and then you can go do these different things. Now, since I'm really high level, I'm going to be able to face roll it. This is actually like really hard. Normally you die in like one hit, but actually I do need to equip this to make things really easy. So what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to gain 25% attack speed and minus 20 defense, but if I activate it again, I'll gain 25% defense. Now again, I am kind of maxed out, so this normally is not this easy. In fact, this is a very hard fight, because when I beat it the first time, I was beating it without taking one hit of damage. If I got hit once, I would die. And it was very challenging, but now I can face roll it really easy because I've got much better gear. We'll cast some, actually I don't have any Umbra, which is basically mana. And I'll explain everything. I just want to show you guys what the gameplay looked like. Like, look at this, I'm hitting for like 12k, right? But on him, I'm hitting for like 1k. It comes down to like armor, is really why. But completed the arena, and after this arena, you get a loot chest. Now, as of right now, it always gives you Hydra. Well, as far as I'm aware of, I've done it like 20 times, and it gives me Hydra every time, which is a legendary item. So now that you guys have seen the gameplay, I'm going to go over like all the small little things in the game. So as far as the skill tree in the game, so this is what it looks like. And at first glance, you're like, oh, do they just copy Path of Exile? It's a huge thing. I'm guessing, well, actually, I do know that every class, they can go every character that you create can go in any direction. Basically, you create a male or female, and you kind of build your own class. You're not really locked to like, oh, I want to select like assassin or something. You just go ahead and select thief, and then you kind of build your own character. So basically, the character creation in this game, it doesn't matter at all. It's basically male or female. You can change like the eye color. The character creation is very minor. It's pretty much irrelevant as far as like how you want to build your character. It's all done through this tree. And I guess as well as through another currency, which is called knowledge. But I'll get into that in a second. So first off, the skills in this game. So skills in this game are actually not generated by the tree, or the passive tree. They're actually generated by these books, and you just right click on them, and then you will actually learn them. Similar to Diablo 1, so you basically, to level up the books, originally when I played this game in an earlier stage, to level up your skills, you would actually have to get multiple copies of the book, and they would level up, and then they would actually give you like a branch. So for example, I have this arrows rain over here, and as I level it up to 5, 10 and 10 are thresholds, so I get to make it so the arrow's rain has a wider area of effect, or I can make it so it reduces the skill's rage cost, which is basically one form of energy in the game. So there's a lot to go into, but we can go over everything. So first off, there's something called Umbra. Think of this like mana. It's just going to generate over time. The other bar over here to my right is Rage. Now, regardless of how you build your character, you're going to get both. And what's cool with this is it kind of encourages you to utilize Rage and mana, because, you know, sometimes, you know, in games, if you're like a strength melee-based character, you wouldn't care about mana as much as you would Rage. But they want you to use both, and I'll explain this. So, as I'm using my mana, I'm starting to build Rage, which will then let me use other skills. So it kind of has this idea of utilizing both. Now, originally in the earlier stages of the game, you could actually do something, I considered it kind of game breaking, but at the same time it was really fun, which allowed you to animation cancel a spell or something that would cost Umbra, which is basically mana in the game, into Rage, and you can infinitely cycle between them. They have since changed that, and you can't do that anymore, but I'm just going to show you like kind of an example, because it was really important for animation canceling. So basically, I could use one ability, and then I can go into another one, and I can use them basically at the end of the animation of like, well, this one's a channeled ability, so it's kind of different, but for the most part, you were able to kind of balance it out perfectly in between. You were able to spam like Umbra, Rage, and you were able just to go back and forth, and it was really cool. They have since changed it. It was kind of game breaking though, I will be honest, but some skills did have a cooldown, so you couldn't necessarily do that. But that's kind of how the energy system works in the game. Obviously, this is my health over here. But anyways, let's go back to the passive tree over here. So you guys will see that there are these different sections, different circles, and then there's like these inner rings, and there are these outer rings. Now, they haven't finished all of the skills yet, but or the points on the passive tree. But what you can do is you can actually rotate them. Now, I'm going to rotate it to where I have it like efficiently set up right now, because, well, this is the way I built my character. And you don't have to go, like if I select Hunter, I don't have to just go with Hunter. I can go ahead and go to Guardian, which is more of a defensive trait, which will give you toughness, which is basically survivability in the game, which if you want to like get towards the end game, make sure you get this. I made a huge mistake, kind of in a sense, because I would die in one hit to like everything, and that is because I put all my points into agility. So I know my cam is kind of blocking, but the first one is called ferocity, which is basically your melee damage. Then you have toughness, which is just your like HP pool and your defensive stats. And then you have agility, which is your ranged damage, as well as your dodge chance, and you also have movement speed that's correlated to it. And then willpower, which is basically your spell damage. So basically, you have kind of like the original core stats of like Diablo 2, which is great. But different skills utilize different, obviously, attributes. So I put, again, everything into agility, and the little like details thing is actually really well made. Like it tells you in depth everything. If you mouse over, it'll tell you like what willpower does, which is really good, because in some of the older like ARPGs, it was just very vague. It was like strength, dexterity, and you just had to put points into it, and you're like, okay, I see these other stats going up. But as far as skills go, again, you will basically just learn the skill once by getting a book, kind of like in Diablo 1. However, leveling them up is a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and get into that. And I'll go into the merchants, and I'll show you guys different areas in the game. I just really wanted to make this video because a lot of people that were making videos talking about this game, they were like level 5, and they were talking about like what can you do in the end game? It's like you could just play. It's really not that hard to get to the end game of this. I would say I probably spent like maybe 10-15 hours to get towards the end game, and everything does reset. I did have a character a long time ago, but things reset all the time in the alpha. But let's go ahead and jump into actually, let's go back to town so I can show you guys the like. There is like a crafting system in the game. I'm not sure if it's like fully developed yet, but it is something that they did plan to do. So this is the town over here. This is a town. There's actually multiple towns. Oh, actually, hold on. So you can make, you know, that one's just the healer guy. You have the innkeeper. You can change the time essentially. I'm not sure if that's used to farm different things, but we're gonna go ahead and go to the merchant. And I'll show you guys what I was talking about as far as skills go. So if I have a book that I've already used, I can sell it for gold, but don't ever sell them for gold. You want to take them and get what's called the knowledge. It's not. It doesn't say it's knowledge, but this is gold and this is knowledge. Knowledge is used to upgrade your skills, and every time you hit thresholds, like this one is every 5. you can choose something else. So for example, like the Whirlwind ability over here at level 5, which I guess I've already unlocked, I can either reduce the cost of the skill or make it so Whirlwind hits enemies much faster. So you can kind of decide what you want to do with your character as far as like modifying the skill that you already have. And you can change them on the fly. Like there's no like investment where it's like a permanent. And it does tell you what it costs and tells you the weapon damage, and also requires a melee weapon. Now with your base attack of staff weapons, it's determined on what kind of item that you have. So this one's a frost staff, and this is just the basic attack. This isn't a skill at all, and it looks really cool. In fact, some of the skills in this game look amazing, and I'll show you guys some of the other. Actually, let me see if I can go buy like another staff that would be okay. Here's a fire one. The fire one actually looks really cool, and I'll grab the lightning one and the staff of Umbras, just so you can kind of see what you can do with them. And I'll show you guys like the other weapons, and as far as the inventory system, I'll explain that in a second. Oh, another important like resource cost is called stamina. Now on default, if you hit spacebar, it's going to give you a dodge roll, which is actually really important for bosses, especially if you decide to do a build that I did, because I just wanted to try to progress as fast as I could, and as long as you don't get hit by the boss, you can progress in this game really fast, which like I said, I put all my points literally into agility. The extra stats from willpower are from things that just give you like plus X amount to stats, but pretty much I put everything into agility, and it was kind of a bad idea, but as long as you just don't get hit, you can progress in the game really fast and one-shot pretty much everything, with the exception of bosses, which just don't get hit by the boss and you'll be okay. But anyways, yeah, this is stamina. You can actually increase, you guys can see, it says 4 out of 4, but you can actually increase it to, I believe, 7. I mean, there might be some items that increase it even more. In fact, on the skill tree, or the passive tree, whatever you want to call it, you can actually increase it a little bit more. And you can, again, you can select what ring you want once you're next to it. It can only really be done in town, but you can actually rotate the inner and outer rings to kind of path towards a different option, but I have mine, again, path towards this option. But you can actually change the dodge. So the dodge isn't like something that's permanent. You can get what's called Warden, and it says rooted. Your dodge roll is permanently replaced by a protection form, which lasts 1.2 per stamina point stackable, and it gives you just extra defense points and resistance to stun, knockback, blown away resistance, but it reduces your movement speed. So that's the trade-off with that. So I think it's really cool that you can change what your roll does. So let me go and show you guys like the base attacks on like lightning and like all the other ones, because they look really cool. Actually, we can go to enemies. Let's just go to a lower level area because, well, I don't have any. Well, I don't have that many points into like spell damage, and most of my stuff is catered towards getting me more agility, which gives me more ranged damage. Actually, this area it might be empty. Okay, there are all these other small little areas that you can go to, like, and then there's usually a chest at the very end. I'll show you guys these, like, these underground areas. Now, if you guys do happen to get access to the alpha, keep in mind that it is an alpha. There will be times where the game will crash, and that's like the biggest like problem with the game. It crashed maybe like once an hour for me, but like look at the skills. This is just the basic attack. Let's go to the fighter one now. You've seen those ones. But yeah, this is just the base attack. That looks awesome. So let me go ahead and just lightning, and we can use some of the other abilities. I'll just equip them so you guys can get some variety in here as far as gameplay goes. I think this one, does this one require a dagger? I don't know if it does or not. This one has, some abilities have charges. What is the, is it, oh, it's a charge over time. Okay, so I throw a dagger at him. So this one, it throws down the orb and then it's going to explode. And we have something that pushes them back. And then we have, well, normally what happens is there's a beam that goes in between. But okay, maybe it glitched. But you'll see that there's blue items, which are what they call uncommon, or magic. So you have like your standard like common items, and you have magic, then you have rare, and then you have legendary. I'm not sure if there's set items in the game. In fact, set items are kind of one thing that I feel like Diablo really has that a lot of other games don't really have. I know there are some games that have like sets, but as far as popularity goes, like Path of Exile doesn't have sets. I hope one day they add sets. I know that sets kind of make cookie cutter builds, but at the same time, I like the idea of having sets. Now, I also have some passives over here that just give me bonuses, where if I'm not taking any damage, I deal more damage. So it was really good for the build of just don't take any damage, because I put no points into health in the very beginning of the game. Later on though, I started putting points into what's called the toughness, and that's just going to let me actually survive. So I'm not going to go in depth as far as like going over what I selected for my skill tree, but I mean, there are things that change, you know, stats. It's very minor as far as just, it adds up though. It's just like giving you like extra attack speed and like extra stats, but it unlocks the following skill, which is like, some of these will unlock skills, which is kind of important for like this elemental like arrow build thing that I was going for. But for the most part, okay, let me go ahead and equip this. For the most part, I've shown you guys majority of the things that I wanted to show off and explain in the game. Oh, another unique thing in this game is actually the potion system. So the potions actually have like permanent stat increases. So you guys will see where it says +6 health regeneration, which is permanent when equipped. So potions will actually just give you like stats, which is kind of cool. Usually potions are like on use. I really like the flask system in Path of Exile, and this is kind of like Path of Exile, where things have like a set integers that they can actually have like different integers on. So you can get different numbers on like what you're getting, and also the integers that it's giving, whether it's like the number of health restored or like whatever you're getting, which is like this one I'm using because it gives agility. And this one gives me like 4% to all attributes. That's why I'm having more willpower than I actually put points into. So when you level up, you'll get points and you can distribute them just like you would. And these are permanent as far as I'm aware of, but you might be able to reroll them later on. As far as legendaries go in this game, whoops, I can't move this. Okay, but anyways, you'll see it says legendary, but like, it's not like unique in Path of Exile or Diablo where it gives you a legendary like an ability. This one does happen to have like 68% chance to gain health, but it does a bunch of like stat integer increases to different enemies in the game. But you'll see that there are rare things. There's not anything that's too crazy new. Like there's just like there's you know, there's attack speed. As far as the inventory system though, it's kind of cool that it has the left and right like shoulder pieces, and then you have left and right arms, and then everything else is pretty similar, but there is a cape that you do happen to have. And also I want to go over sockets. So sockets in this game, how they work. Let me see if I have an item that has a socket. I have this item has a socket, and these have 2 sockets. But if you mouse over a gem, it'll say offensive, defensive, and support. Now, in Diablo 2, how it worked was wherever you put the gem, whether it was in your helm, you know, your shield, or your weapon, it would have different stat points that it would give you. In Wolcen, how it works is the sockets actually stay. Let me see if I can go to the town to explain this a little bit better. I just don't happen to have an item that has a socket that I still happen to have. Actually, I can go to my stash. Actually, I might have one in my stash. Let's see, this is the personal chest. Okay, here's one right here. So if I mouse over it, it'll say offensive, offensive, where you can see the 2 sockets. Below where it says below average speed, it says offensive, offensive. So if I moused over this, whatever the offensive category would be, would go towards that. And I don't want to say it's locked down to the specific item that it is. Like for example, these were both offensive. I don't want to say that all weapons are only offensive slots. You can, however, put something in one of the slots, and you can actually remove it later on if you don't like it. It does cost gold, but it's such a small amount that it really doesn't matter. But as far as anything else in the game that I really wanted to go over for anyone that was interested in this game, because I was really interested in this game and I felt like there just wasn't a video, because I watched a lot of videos, again, on people that were talking about it, and it was just very shallow, and I wanted to go more in depth of what like you can do in the game. And like I said, this is probably the most unique aspect of the game, and it feels like this game is really looking pretty good for the future, and I'm excited to see what else they do with this. Obviously, they're going to add like another layer over here. But like I said, characters do wipe, so if you invest a lot of time into it, just remember that this game is an alpha, so things will wipe. In fact, I've played this game several different times when they've done like resets, and they do change things from time to time. There's also other towns, and there also is a like a housing system. Let me actually go back to, is it this one? There's one area. Okay, it's not this area. I thought it was this area that had a housing system. Let me see if I can find it. So I guess I can go. This is the vendor over here. You can see where you can buy stuff, and then there's also like books. The books are usually very expensive, but you can see I have 27,000 gold. So things are like purchasable. I just feel like the drops in this game are they're either very rare or I got really unlucky because I never got one legendary from an actual drop other than from the like arena. But maybe you're not supposed to get those till like at least a certain threshold. Some games have it where it's like you can't get a legendary item if you're under this specific level. Here's the jeweler. Oh, here's an item. So you can see I can remove, this is an item that I've actually already placed here and it just saved it inside. Anyways, you can actually put an item in here and you can remove the gems and it costs 40 gold, which is irrelevant. You can see the different gems that you can buy and there are higher versions of gems. So it starts out with chipped and then I'm not sure exactly what the name is for the other ones, but apparently there's raw. There's probably like perfect, you know how it is in like Diablo or a lot of these other games where like you have like a system where you can have socketed items. There also is a town portal. I don't know if I went back on town portal, but there's a lot of things that are similar to Diablo, and I mean that in a good way. Like I actually don't really mind that. Oh, you can actually reset, so that's pretty cool. If you wanted to change your build. I'm not sure if that's going to cost something. I mean, it might just because it's alpha. They're like, yeah, go for it. Go ahead and edit your build however you would like. And some people felt like Diablo 3 was really generous with that. Like, you can change your build up at any time. And I actually do like that. Whereas Diablo 2, like, when you invested into something, well, you were pretty much invested into it unless you got, of course, a token or you went to Adria and, like, reset it. But I know that there's a housing system. I just don't remember exactly where it was at. But you can customize your hideout. Let me see, actually. This area has actually changed since I last went into the game. Unless I just rotated the camera and that completely disoriented me. But let me see if I can hit... No, it's not going to hit... Because you can hit... Is it tab or M, like to change the map, as far as I was aware before, but I don't know if that has been something removed. Okay, it might be this house over here. Let me go ahead and go to it. Oh, also I wanted to mention, the minimap isn't always true. Like, you'll see that I'm off the minimap right now, because it's just, I don't know, it's just not the best optimization, I guess. So is this the house? Okay, or is it this one? Okay. Like I said, sometimes you'll see on the minimap over on the top right, it's just off. Okay, so this is my house. You can actually check out what I've got. I kind of just clicked around a while ago, so you can see they do cost gold though to craft certain things. So I can build like a. Let me see if I can place this. Let me build like a wooden wall, a wooden yeah. We'll build a wall and we just hit confirm. It's actually really easy. And then we'll just go to like leave, and you'll see now I have a wall over here. Well, for what point this serves, I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of that in games where it's like, oh, you can have your own little hideout. Like, honestly, I wasn't one that cared about that too much. There's also this bed over here which lets you go to sleep, and you can actually change the time. I'm not sure if this like does anything as far as like different enemies spawn at different time integers, or if anything really like revolves around it. Because I know in like Warcraft 3, like there were things that like did things at night. You know, like that would be a cool aspect that I don't think is really like added into the game. There also is a transformation system, but I really don't know too much about it other than like they announced that like you can transform. Like, and there's like, I don't know, like you know in Diablo there's like the Archon form, or it's not really necessarily like a transformation like a druid in Diablo where you would transform as like an ability. It's more like an ultimate, if you will. Like you can gain wings, and but that is something I'm not really interested in. But if you have to like go that build, if that makes sense, because basically you would try to keep your uptime in that like Archon form or like that certain form as much time as possible, meaning that like if that's like the ultimate form of your hero, you would just play that at all times, which again it's kind of like going towards where Diablo, like you pretty much run a set piece of like armor, like you know the greens in Diablo. Basically if you have like 6 pieces, and it basically forces you to play like a cookie cutter build, which I'm not too interested in, but I really like how Diablo 2 did it, which is basically like there were a few people that did run sets, but overall majority of people did not run sets. But I like the idea of sets just in general. I think it's a cool idea though. But I pretty much showed off what I wanted to show off with this game, and I really am looking forward to this game. And I'm pretty much just looking forward to just any action RPG, because it's one of my favorite genres, but it just feels like we haven't gotten a really cool game in a long time, other than like Path of Exile, which I do enjoy and I stream quite often as well. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the content from Wolcen Lords of Mayhem. But let me know, guys, what you thought of it. And I might do some more videos of this on the future, because this is a game that has so much ambition, and I'm really looking forward to playing it when it finally comes out. I have no idea what the release date is for this game. All I know is I don't know if I bought like a pre-early access alpha on, like, it was either on Steam or like Kickstarter or something. But I know that like they have a lot of funds for this game. Like they did a Kickstarter, and it seems to be doing pretty well, and they are working on it. And the game has, like I said, changed quite a bit since the last time I played, and that's one reason why I wanted to check it out again, because it's getting some hype. Because in the next season of Diablo, apparently nothing's changing, and I was super upset. But I'm like, well, Wolcen's doing some update. I saw it on some other YouTuber's channel, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna check it out again. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the vid. If you did, drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button for more gaming content.